On the day of my engagement to John, the heir of the Wilson family, a woman claiming to be the chosen heroine appeared. She grabbed his hand in front of everyone, calling him husband, and declared I was merely a supporting character destined to become collateral damage in their love story. The next second, John pressed a gleaming black pistol against her forehead. My fiancé smiled icily. I fought damn hard to win her. Try ruining this for me, and I'll blow your brains out. Understood? Thank you for watching. Your support keeps these stories coming. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe for more captivating tales. What story should we tell next? Let us know below. Chapter 1. Everyone knew John's vicious temper. Before I came along, he'd entertained himself by tormenting people, kicking them into pools until they recited Confucian classics, forcing acrophobics to bungee jump from 650-foot towers until they passed out. Those who feared ghosts, he'd make them work night shifts at crematories or guard corpses in morgues. Even when victims wept and begged forgiveness, he'd ignore them. Only when they teetered on the edge of insanity would he grant mercy. This was the man I'd read about before transmigrating into this novel. Now, standing outside the basement door, I heard familiar whimpers and John's chilling laughter. He was at it again. I entered without knocking. The young heir instantly dropped his whip, standing ramrod straight. He started screaming before I even touched him. The man pinned to the floor scrambled toward me. Ivy, please, make him stop. I swear I'll never cross the Wilsons again. I looked silently at John. After 3 tense seconds, he relented. Get out. The man crawled away like a wounded animal. The stagnant basement air reeked of iron and fear. John immediately guided me upstairs, scowling. You shouldn't be down here. The dampness worsens your cough. Couldn't sleep. Wanted to talk. I glanced at his blood-stained knuckles. When you weren't in your room, he matched my pace, maintaining his habitual half-step behind me, a self-imposed rule ensuring I never left his sight. Nervous about tomorrow? I nodded faintly. As we approached the garden, he covered my eyes. Got you something. His calloused hands gentled against my skin, steering me forward. Open them. Crimson flooded my vision. Before us stretched acres of blood-red roses. John anxiously flexed his bandaged hands. Planted every one myself. You like them? The scars crisscrossing his fingers glowed silver in moonlight. I smiled. When we were children, I'd been among countless girls vying for his attention. He detested me silencing anyone who called us childhood friends. Then snarling, "Stay away. You're annoying." Oh, I knew. Didn't stop me from trailing after him, relentlessly calling him John until the day he finally turned with blazing eyes and growled. Say it again. I kept writing letters to him, not love letters. Just daily observations. John would toss a stack of envelopes into my backpack, growling, I don't care about your diary. He was the first person I ever gave flowers to, but it landed him in the hospital with an allergic reaction. Guilt-ridden, I visited his room where the boy hid under blankets with an .4 in his hand, pointing at the door. Get out. Stay away from me. Everyone said, Ivy, you should thank your lucky stars, your childhood friends, or he'd have knocked your teeth out by now. I ran from the hospital crying, only to have my tears vanish the moment I slid into the car. Smiling faintly, I thought, good. This is how it should be. At 10, his rebellious streak peaked when he ditched his family's birthday plans. I dressed up specially to greet him at the Wilson family home, but he avoided me so thoroughly he didn't even return that night. Gifts lose their magic after midnight, so I braved the downpour alone with his present. In front of everyone, John declared he hated it and tossed it in the trash. A real 6-year-old might have cried. But I wasn't rattled, having transmigrated into this body as an infant. I'd long since mastered reading John's moods. Instead of tears, I gave him doe eyes. John, Will you walk me home? I'm scared of the dark. Of course he refused. What he didn't know was that this petty refusal led to my 5-year abduction. When they finally found me, my body was racked with chronic illness. So pale and frail I could barely stand, a vision designed to wrench hearts. The day the Taylors came, John arrived too. Something in him had changed, his eyes held regret, pity, guilt, none of the old disdain. Helping me into the car, the neighborhood's most fearsome teen murmured at my ear, "Ivy, I'll protect you now. Never lose you again." I kept my head bowed, hiding a smirk. True to his word, John became two people, snarling at the world, yet handling me like blown glass. When I tried dumping bitter medicine behind adults' backs, he caught me mid-pour. Anger flashed across his face before softening into pleading, "You need this to get better. Please?" I turned away stubbornly. Unfazed, he'd circle to my other side, coaxing like I was a skittish kitten. This was the era when everyone noticed the change. The boy who used to skip class for basketball now took meticulous notes to tutor me. The weekend troublemaker suddenly anchored home with excuses like "can't, gotta make sure Ivy takes her meds or no fighting. She gets scared seeing blood." His crew rolled their eyes. Ivy this, Ivy that. Used to avoid her like plague. Now you're her damn lapdog. Pathetic. How the mighty had fallen. On graduation day at 18, when a classmate tried confessing to me, John's taunt cut through the crowd, "Back off. She's mine." The boy fled. As I tried escaping too, John caged me against the wall. The young man had strikingly beautiful, aristocratic features with a hint of world-weary apathy. "Ivy, we're adults now. Can I finally confess my feelings?" Even his declaration came as a question seeking my permission. Yet I declined, giving the excuse, "I'm sorry. I've always seen you as a brother." John, the young heir who'd received love letters since elementary school, had never experienced rejection in romance. My words drew a bitter chuckle from him, though they didn't dampen his resolve. "That's fine. You're only 18. If we live to 100, that leaves 82 years. I'll propose every year. 82 years is nothing. I can wait." Soon all of New York knew the untamable John had met his match. His annual grand gestures became legendary, gradually winning over even our friends who began urging me to accept. I'd simply smile. There was no hurry, the timing wasn't right yet. When I finally said yes, John trembled like a schoolboy holding my hand. Our childhood friends hooted mercilessly. "Get a grip, Wilson. If you cry this hard at getting a girlfriend, we'll need life support when you propose." They teased. Who knew our fearless leader would turn to mush? John ignored them. His gaze locked on me. "What?" I asked. His smile softened. "No take-backs. Ivy, once you're mine, I'm never letting go." When I joked about hypothetical future rivals, he pressed my hand against his chest. "Remember the shooting lessons? If I ever break this promise, aim right here. Our engagement party is tomorrow." While John fussed over details, I remained calm, occasionally glancing toward the entrance. "You'll need to behave better as a Wilson," my father lectured during his toast. I stared blankly at the man who'd replaced my mother within a year of her death. The Taylor family's half-hearted search during my 5-year abduction had been eclipsed by the Wilsons' relentless efforts. Their current obsequiousness toward me reeked of desperation. John's arm tightened around my waist. "My Ivy is perfect as she is," he declared, eyes glinting dangerously. "She could murder someone in Times Square and I'd provide the alibi." The crude joke made my father nearly drop his champagne flute. As we raised our glasses for the ceremonial toast, chaos erupted. A disheveled woman burst through the door screaming, "You can't marry her, John!" Gasps filled the room as she lunged toward us, clutching John's arm with theatrical desperation. "Darling," she crooned, batting tear-filled eyes. I instinctively shrank behind John's broad shoulders, playing the frightened fiancé perfectly. The crowd buzzed with identical confusion. Who was this madwoman? What a lunatic! That was the collective thought of everyone present. John shoved her away in disgust, barking orders, "Get this woman out of here." He'd shown remarkable restraint these years. In the past, she'd have lost her hand for such insolence. The woman struggled violently against the two bodyguards restraining her, venom dripping from her glare directed at me. "Ivy! You stole everything from me. You were supposed to be dead by now." My face drained of color. John pulled me close while pressing his gun to her temple. "One more word and I'll take your tongue along with your hand." "John, we're soulmates. I'm the heroine and you're the protagonist. She's just cannon fodder in our story. She doesn't deserve to marry you." Madness. Pure madness. Where did this psychopath come from? The commotion died abruptly as horrified gasps swept through the crowd. The woman trembled violently with John's pistol pressed between her eyes. My fiancé smiled icily. "I worked too damn hard to win her. Ruin this day and I'll blow your brains out. Test me." Everyone knew John feared nothing. When I placed my hand over his, whispering "Don't," he lowered the weapon instantly despite his thunderous expression. The crowd's awestruck faces clearly thought the untamable heir apparent finally met his match. I stepped forward, studying our deranged guest. "Miss, I don't know why you're cursing me or trying to sabotage our engagement, but I won't hold it against you. Your obvious mental illness earns my pity instead. I hope you'll seek proper treatment." Luna, that's the name belonging to the body she'd stolen through whatever cosmic joke brought her here. She wasn't wrong about being the original protagonist. But that changed the moment I arrived in this world. Greeted by that ominous voice, "You must make John fall completely in love with you and defeat this dimension-hopping girl. Fail, and face eternal oblivion." Luna turned desperate eyes toward John. "Believe me, I know everything, even how your mother really died." John froze. I kept my gaze lowered, unmoved, breaking free momentarily. Luna pressed closer with hypnotic urgency. "Let me save you from your tragic fate. I understand your pain." John's gun muzzle found her lips. "Know what I hate most?" he growled as she quaked in terror. "Delusional women playing savior. Who needs redemption? Which asylum lost its patient? Our wedding preparations spared her life today." Security dragged the shrieking woman to police custody while John scrubbed his hands raw at the bathroom sink. Before I could speak, he blurted, "She grabbed me first. Didn't have time to dodge. I'd never," his scowl deepened, "still want to break her fingers." The fearsome tycoon now pouted like a scolded puppy. Through the door, eavesdropping staff exchanged knowing smiles, proof that the untamed heir had finally found his match. I couldn't help but chuckle. "John, stop acting like a child." He had me pinned against the wall, whining and mumbling for ages while accusing me of being annoyed with him. I sighed. "You're overthinking this." The sudden cough made us turn. John's subordinate stood trembling nearby, not daring to meet our eyes. "Mr. Wilson, that woman is demanding to see you." John snapped back to his cold demeanor instantly, eyes blazing with restrained fury. "Half of the city wants my attention. Should I entertain every whim? Are you all completely useless? Get out!" The moment the terrified employee fled, John melted into remorse. "I'm sorry, sweetheart. That lunatic ruined our anniversary. Did I scare you?" His voice dropped to honeyed guilt. The not yet distant subordinate shuddered. Scared didn't begin to cover it. The man's outburst could have given anyone cardiac arrest. That night, static crackled in my mind as an icy mechanical voice fragmented through 0714, failed to prevent her interference. "Apologies." "It's fine," I murmured into the darkness, tracing the bite marks hidden beneath my turtleneck. "She'll never take him." Luna had only served a few days' detention before resurfacing. This time, she cornered me privately. Reborn or transmigrated? She demanded without preamble. I tilted my head innocently. Miss Brown. Whatever do you mean? Listen. Ivy. She sneered. You'll never last. Engaged? So what? In this world, I'm his endgame. That man's destined to be my loyal admirer. I nearly choked. John, a loyal admirer? The human Rottweiler who'd marked my neck like territory? Please. Your ending's pathetic. She continued. You'll die alone overseas. Rotting unnoticed while everyone adores me. Enjoy your borrowed time. How terrifying. I deadpanned, watching her storm off. My laughter erupted the moment she turned the corner. From my town car, I observed Luna's designer-clad figure approaching a grimy auto shop. The mechanic emerging wore grease like war paint, his indifference cutting through the gasoline-scented air. The system's voice crackled. Frowny face target confirmed, male lead Jason. I smiled. Luna had been half right about being the female lead. But her loyal admirer wasn't the protagonist, just another side character. The Real prize stood before me, unaware of the war brewing for his destiny. You must be wondering why Luna wove half-truths. Honestly, I don't know either. The system's mission brief never mentioned such details. Only warning that if I failed to gain John's trust before the transmigrated woman arrived, my chances of completing the task would dwindle. So for 20 years, I kept the system at bay to delay her arrival while navigating this unfamiliar world alone, inching closer to my objective. 20 years I spent making John utterly dependent on me. Ms. Brown. Must you always use twisted ankles as excuses? I'm busy. Jason barely contained his irritation, brows knitting in annoyance. Luna froze mid-stride, her rehearsed lines dying on crimson lips. When the mechanic turned to leave, she blurted, I like you. Be mine and I'll make you rule Jingzhou. We'll crush John under our heels. I cracked the car window, squinting through afternoon glare. Ambitious little thing, wasn't she? Jason regarded her like roadside trash. Who's John? Yesterday's mad ramblings about knowing my future were bad enough. Be grateful I didn't call the psych ward. As Luna grabbed his grease-stained sleeve, he shook her off violently. I'm your destined wife. She sprawled on oil-slick concrete, desperation cracking her facade. I can shortcut your rise. No more grimy garages. Fairy tales should at least be believable. Jason wiped his hands with deliberate slowness. Don't make me say worse. The moment he left, Luna scrambled up, scrubbing motor oil from her designer dress. Disgusting. I'd never touch gutter trash like you if not for that protagonist halo. Jason. Let's recall the novel's male lead. Long-lost scion of Jingzhou's elite. Dragged back into family bloodshed at 20. The book mentioned his rivalry with John over the female lead, though John's ultimate fate remained unwritten. As for Luna, I smirked. Our transmigrator was casting multiple nets, playing all angles. Arms suddenly encircled my waist from behind. You've been distracted since coming home. John nuzzled my neck. Afternoon stubble grazing sensitive skin. Trouble? The Smith family scandals, I turned in his embrace. You're doing? His chuckle vibrated against me. Decades of corruption imploding naturally. Since you banned my extracurricular activities, my hands stay clean. Warm lips trailed my collarbone. Someone upset you? Don't overthink. Can't help it. His teeth grazed my earlobe. But there's a cure. Which is? John's gaze dropped to my mouth. Kissing. The office desk became our battlefield. Outside, footsteps paused at muffled moans. When the door burst open, John snarled out, without breaking our kiss. The assistant fled, slamming the door on our tangled limbs and half-unbuttoned shirts. John's kissing skills were so practiced now that I could never tease him about it like I used to. When was our first kiss? Probably that time he first made me furious, racing cars on some stupid bet. Nearly getting himself killed. He'd made everyone keep it from me. But I found out anyway. Didn't even visit the hospital. Not that anyone dared call me heartless except those sanctimonious tailors warning me not to go too far. I stayed holed up in my cottage for days. Playing piano until my fingers ached and dancing until the hardwood floors creaked. The morning I left for the auction house after an invitation arrived. John's call came as I was stepping out. I swiped to answer and pressed the phone to my ear. John. Ivy. You're not home? He must have gone to the cottage first. I hummed in confirmation. Where are you? Out clearing my head. He started rambling apologies. But I cut him off with I'm running late and hung up first. When I returned past midnight, John looked half mad with worry, not because he couldn't find me, but terrified he'd angered me again. He didn't dare break anything, knowing how I hate that. Wouldn't even smoke in my presence. There he was in sub-zero temperatures wearing nothing but a dress shirt, crouched by the doorway like some stray. The moment he saw me, all his anxiety came out as a scold. Why aren't you wearing a coat? Do you even care about your health? His knuckles were freshly bloodied. He tried hiding his hands behind his back, stammering. I didn't hurt him. My jacket slid off my shoulders as I stood on tiptoe. Our shadows merged on the pavement as I kissed him. Our actual first kiss. Though neither would admit it. He trembled worse than me. John. I whispered against his lips. Promise you'll stop these reckless stunts. I can't lose you. His blush burned through the winter chill. Okay. That dangerous face everyone fears, the sharp features and storm-clad eyes, crumpled when I found him as a boy. 7 years old. Sniffling behind the Wilson estate while poking sticks into rat holes. Not a monster. He'd hiccuped to no one. Can't help my face. Why's everyone scared? Why's everyone leave? A tiny thundercloud of a child. My first visit to the Wilsons. That's when the plan began, the careful campaign to claim this feral boy's heart. Now 23 and blushing crimson. John fled to the bathroom after our kiss. Muffled bragging leaking through the door. Yeah, will your girl ever kiss you first? Huh? Didn't think so. My Ivy's perfect. What did you know? Single loser? Pathetic. Later. He brought foot washing water heated to exact preference. Rolling up sleeves as he knelt. The untouchable Wilson air gladly playing servant. I nudged his shoulder with my toe. What if people saw the mighty John like this? He didn't look up. Carefully drying between my toes. Let them. Only you matter. The calloused hands cradling my feet had broken noses and signed billion-dollar deals. Yet here they trembled. Treating me like glass. Always the contradiction, this man who'd burn the world for me. Yet folds like paper at my sigh. The man was happily washing his feet. Snorting. Isn't spoiling your wife natural? What's wrong with foot care? If you weren't so shy, I'd help with your bath too. My cheeks burned crimson as I avoided his gaze. Car wash or repair? The man didn't look up from his computer. I slid over a business card. I'm here to see someone. Who? Jason Smith. The man slowly raised his eyes, giving me an appraising look that stopped just short of rude. You? I blinked in surprise. You know me? He shook his head. Never met you. But I've seen you around. Ivy Taylor. Fiancé to John from the Wilson family. That checks out? I nodded. Jason leaned back with weary indifference. Lips quirking. Thanks to that lunatic constantly ranting about John. I got curious and looked him up online. Quite the character. You hear about your fiancé? My smile tightened. No. About you. I revealed only Jason's family background, withholding other details that'd sound unbelievable anyway. Luna's impatience had been her downfall. Your grandfather's waiting at the hospital. He won't close his eyes until he sees you. I pushed the card closer. This is the Smith family's right-hand man. Contact him when ready. Though if you don't go, well, say goodbye to your last living relative." Dark eyes concealed all emotion as he sat motionless. Days later, the Smith family announced a death notice conspicuously omitting Jason's existence. The system asked, "Why bother with this?" "Multiple reasons," I replied, recalling crucial book details. The core conflict between John and Jason stemmed from Wilson family interference during Smith's corporate takeover, with Jason blaming John for his grandfather's death. Their rivalry had escalated into countless life-or-death clashes. By steering John away from this mess, I aimed to prevent their fatal collision even if Jason eventually rose to power. I found Jason later at a bar, slumped over the counter with a half-empty glass. His silhouette wavered slightly, fingers massaging his temples. "What's so interesting?" John's arm tightened around my waist, his breath hot and vinegar sharp in my ear. "Ivy, you've been naughty lately, eyeing other men right in front of me?" Our friends ahead turned when we lagged, hiding laughter. I whispered 2 words against John's ear. His cheeks flushed scarlet as he pinched my waist. "We'll settle this later." At tonight's socialite gathering, I excused myself to find hangover soup, returning to find Luna leaning into Jason's space. Just as her lips neared his, he vomited down her designer dress. Luna's smile shattered, shoving him away in disgust. She fled toward the restrooms. I arrived in time to hear her hiss into her phone, "Coming up now." "Worst luck ever, I don't like him at all. No money, no influence. If it weren't, never mind. I just pitied him. That's why I approached him. Oh, and remember to call a car to send him to the hotel. Make sure to mention it's my arrangement. Absolutely crucial to say my name. After all these times I've helped him, he'll definitely remember me. Just wait, I'll become that enviable woman everyone talks about. Don't forget to introduce me to Ethan later. You'll get your cut if this works out. Trust me. He'll fall for me hard. Like, can't live without me hard." I leaned against the door, stifling laughter. Her so-called Ethan sounded like some tragic second male lead from novels, the type who pines endlessly even after Luna gets married. Jason came to, unsurprised to find himself sprawled on the sidewalk. "Why are you here?" he asked flatly. "Passing by. Saw you drunk and alone. Had someone drag you out for some sobering night air. But I distinctly remember it being Luna earlier. So he'd been faking." I straightened, expressionless. Jason didn't press further, his brow furrowing with something resembling grief. "My grandfather died. Wants me to take over the company." I stayed silent, lacking comforting words. "I've mostly figured out Luna's motives. What about you?" His gaze sharpened. "Why are you really here? No point hiding it now. My employer acts impulsively but means well. You've got steadier judgment. Thought you two might make good business partners someday." John paused, then chuckled dryly. "Wouldn't he feel emasculated knowing you're saying this behind his back?" "John would never. He likes when I look out for him," I countered. John craved love in ways money couldn't fix. The Wilson family tree had rotted from the roots. Old Mr. Wilson, the patriarch, had been exposed 5 years into his marriage for maintaining a secret family elsewhere. The scandal left Mrs. Wilson bedridden until her early demise, abandoning 8-year-old John. Within a year, business necessities demanded Mr. Wilson remarry. The proposed merger looked perfect on paper, except for rejecting the existing heir. But John had inherited his father's defiance. When they tried shipping him off, he torched the car, crawled from the ashes, and appeared at midnight with a kitchen knife at his father's bedside. At the wedding reception, he projected the bride's affair footage for all to see, toasting cheerfully, "Surprise! Happy nuptials!" Turned out the bride's family had rigged the getaway car to eliminate John. He'd initially planned to enjoy the drama until learning they'd replace him with their bastard child. The Wilsons became legend, a tempestuous patriarch breeding an even wilder successor. To break John's spirit, Mr. Wilson marooned him on a deserted island for a month. They retrieved him feverish and scarred by beast attacks. Nearly brain dead from infection. The Golden Triangle's jungles didn't care about legalities, murder went unpunished here. Yet John survived. Hardening into the unyielding scion now sipping bourbon across from me. His smile never reaching those calculating eyes. But John had been there. After he got out, he was in critical care for 3 days and 3 nights. From that moment on, the relationship between the Wilson father and son froze completely, erupting into conflict at the slightest disagreement. I'd always assumed that after enduring such experiences, John's capacity for familial affection had dwindled to near nothingness. Yet on our engagement night, he whispered tenderly, "I really want a home. Ivy, will you build a home with me? If we have children someday, I'll teach them that happiness matters most. Let them know their father will hold up the sky, they just need to love their mother well. If we don't want kids, we'll adopt cats and dogs. Give them a family too." So this was John, starving for love. When I returned to the private lounge, the gathering was winding down. Drunk and subdued, John dozed in the corner sofa. I called softly, "John?" Without opening his eyes, he nuzzled against my chest. "Honey, where did you go? Getting your hangover meds." "Sweetheart." His voice thickened with childish hurt. "Thought you left me. Messaged you so many times, I checked my phone, still on Do Not Disturb, flooded with his texts. They're bullying me. Come protect your man. Feel awful. When are you coming back? Ivy. Don't you love me anymore? Wifey." The world sees John as ruthless ice. But I only see the man craving love. The Smith family leadership changed hands. Jason moved with terrifying efficiency since reclaiming his position, outpacing even the original storyline's pace. I asked John how he felt about it. Nursing a hangover. He burrowed deeper into my lap, vulnerability making him clingy. His nasal whine muffled against my sweater. "What's there to feel? So he's successful. Still doesn't have a wife." I nearly facepalmed. Luna haunted Jason's orbit with increasing desperation. During a business lunch John took me to, we witnessed security ejecting her from a VIP room. "Jason, after all I've done for you, is this your gratitude? I'm your destined wife. You'll regret this." Her shrieks pierced the hallway. Inside, Jason sat unmoved, frosty gaze slicing through the commotion. Spotting me beside John, Luna's eyes blazed with venomous envy. The system pondered, does she know her role as transmigrator? Or is she systemless? 0 system traces. It confirmed. Only explanation, she's reincarnated twice. Thinks the plot follows her past life. Never anticipating your interference derailed everything. As John guided me past the scene, Luna lunged between us. "John. You. Did my restraint last time make you think me patient?" John's smile turned arctic. Security dragged her away mid-scream. "This is your fault. Ivy. You ruined everything. You should have died. You were supposed to die." John covered my ears, his brows furrowing. "Don't listen. She's spouting nonsense." "Okay." My collaboration with Jason went smoothly. He never mentioned our conversation that night, though he did remark while looking at me, "Miss Taylor is quite extraordinary. You're a lucky man, John." John tightened his grip on my hand, irritation coloring his tone. "For that comment, we'll definitely invite you to our wedding." Flustered, I quickly dragged him away. In the car, John's true nature emerged as he licked his crimson lips. "Ivy, you know him, don't you?" Realizing denial was pointless, I nodded. His jaw clenched with restrained anger before he finally muttered, Just try not to talk to him so much from now on. Okay? I wrapped my arms around him, hiding a smile against his chest. Okay. Luna tried forcing John's hand through suicide threats. When he initially refused, snapping at subordinates, let her die if she wants. She shocked everyone by landing in the ER after a midnight overdose. I nudged his arm. Go see what she wants. John ran agitated fingers through his hair. Get some sleep. I'll be back soon. Dawnlight crept through the curtains when the bed dipped cautiously. I rolled into his familiar warmth without opening my eyes. What happened? Nothing important, he murmured, settling beside me. It's handled. The tension in his body betrayed his words. We lay in silence, his fingers tracing patterns on my back as if memorizing this piece. His phone lit up with an unknown number I instinctively recognized. John answered on speakerphone. Luna's tearful voice pleaded. It's so dark here, I'm scared. Come find me? I'll have your tongue removed if you call again. He growled, murderous intent flashing in his eyes. They'd confined Luna to a psychiatric facility, as I later learned from his staff. Days later, Jason approached me with haunted eyes. Let me take her. What will you do? I asked. Try to bring back the Luna I knew. He said bitterly. The protagonist cursed to love his tormentor. I crossed my arms. What's your offer? Your company takes majority shares in all future collaborations. Deal. She'll never trouble you again. John collapsed without warning. Doctors called it psychosomatic. After 3 sleepless nights at his bedside, he awoke gazing at me with centuries' worth of longing and anguish intertwined. John? I touched his feverish cheek. His voice gradually steadied. Come meet her with me. Okay? The cemetery felt chilly and deserted. John walked ahead in all black, shoulders slightly hunched as if carrying an invisible weight. The person he spoke of was the late Mrs. Wilson, matriarch of the Wilson family who'd passed years ago. The tombstone showed her youthful photograph. I could see traces of her features in John's face. He brought me here annually yet never dared speak of her. This story carried too much sorrow. Visiting again. Don't mind me, I won't stay long. The man lowered his lashes, brushing dust off the stone. That day you swallowed pills before my eyes. Kept chanting his name. Swore you'd haunt him as a ghost. Funny how it feels like you're haunting me instead. I looked away, eyes burning. Mom. John's whisper caught in the wind. I miss you. But you never cared about your son. Did you? Not even one dream. Back home, John locked himself in his room. Today marked Mrs. Wilson's death anniversary. Every year, he transformed into this silent stranger. That night, I crept into the dark bedroom. Cigarette embers glowed on the balcony. He recognized my footsteps. Ivy. His voice rasped. I embraced him without words. For long moments, the man who usually overflowed with energy stood motionless. His arms locked around my waist like manacles. Desperate and trembling. Ivy. Let's get married tomorrow. The urgency confused me. I need you home. Our seaside villa in Alaska's Gulf is ready, you love those views. Your dresses too, mermaid silhouettes. Cathedral trains. Enough to change 4 times daily. The ring's arriving tonight, that auction diamond you stared at for hours. My breath caught. He'd been there during our fight at that auction? Noticed my lingering gaze? John. What's wrong? His shiver answered first, raw fear. This feels like a dream. That I'll wake and you'll vanish. Ivy. Tell me this is real. That you'll stay. That same night, the system notified me mission complete. I could leave this world. My throat tightened watching John meticulously arrange rose arches. Goodbye stuck like broken glass. Wait longer. I whispered. The system stayed silent. John compressed wedding preparations into days. Guests questioned his haste. Why the rush? Your bride isn't disappearing. He studied me intensely before joking. Can't risk it. Every unwed day threatens that exact nightmare. Dread coiled in me, as if he sensed my impending departure. The system hesitated when I asked why. Perhaps you belonged here all along. The Wilson-Taylor wedding unfolded like a storybook finale. You could say the dowry procession stretched for miles. The system told me today was the best day to leave and to get ready. I was alone in the hotel lounge. Like the universe had carved out this space specifically for me. Even the corridors stood empty. At the crossroads, my left hand pointed toward the service exit while my right led to the wedding venue. Step 1, go left. The system began its transfer protocol. But something felt off. Fragments of Ivy's memories flooded my mind, visions of John smiling, angry, weeping. The most vivid showed him clutching her funeral portrait, kneeling before a gravestone with soul-rending sobs. Remember now? The system asked. You are Ivy. In your past life, Luna's transmigration-fueled jealousy trapped you overseas. When John finally uncovered her crimes, he used her own methods for revenge before taking his life at your grave. The Sovereign took pity, giving you the second chance to reunite through a mission to win his heart. This world was always yours. John's POV. My childhood companion was Ivy. Quietly stubborn, soft-spoken yet persistent. I'd told her countless times I'd never return her feelings. Yet she kept trailing after me like morning mist. Annoyingly constant. Before I knew it, 12 years had slipped by. I never thought I'd fall for someone like her. But when other girls sat across from me on dates, restless irritation gnawed at me. Seeing her laugh with classmates made me want to break noses. That idiot Ivy had stolen my heart when I wasn't looking. Our roles reversed as we grew. The girl who once orbited my world now rarely glanced my way, while I catalogued her every habit. But clever Ivy always noticed. During our graduation photos that sweltering summer, she swapped positions to stand beside me. My fingers found hers in secret. Ivy, I whispered, let's make it official after this. But you have to wait for my confession. I fought to keep my cool despite the fireworks in my chest. All right. It became my first smiling yearbook photo. We both broke that promise. The summer we turned 18, she left for an exchange program overseas and never returned. When the news came, I trashed the mansion and dragged my father from his mistress' bed, our brawl leaving both of us hospitalized. A strange girl stood by my recovery bed. I'm Luna. She smiled nervously. Remember me, John? Never heard of you. Truth rang in my hoarse voice. She launched into tales of supposed encounters, track meets where I'd allegedly brought her water. Study sessions I had no memory of. The words meant nothing. My world had already crumbled with the Atlantic tide that swallowed Ivy's plane. The memories slowly came back. Ivy was part of the student council and had been assigned to distribute water to athletes during the sports event. Not wanting her to bake in the sun, I'd insisted she stay in the shade while I handled the task with a couple friends. There must have been hundreds competing that day. This person in front of me, no recollection whatsoever. Luna kept talking. There was this time I got my period and went to the school store. Everyone stared like I'd committed a crime. But you picked up what I dropped and pressed it into my palm. She looked pathetically grateful. All it did was remind me how Ivy had hidden in the bathroom that same afternoon. Too embarrassed to move until I skipped class to buy supplies. Whatever random act of kindness I might have performed midair and got erased from memory the instant I saw her trembling hands. I coldly looked up, cutting her off. What's your point? The girl flushed, staring at her shoes as she stammered. I have feelings for someone else now. It's Jason. Thank you for liking me. But let's just stay friends. I nearly laughed. Who the hell were Luna or Jason to me? Every ache in my body confirmed John had told the doctors to skip the painkillers. I jerked my chin toward the door. Luna left tearfully, still spewing nonsense. Don't be mad. I know this rejection hurts. But I'll visit more often to make it up to you. Absolute psycho. I discharged myself the next morning and flew to the country where Ivy died. Police had recovered a functional phone from the explosion wreckage containing her final call records. Those led me straight to Luna. I infiltrated her circle without raising suspicion. Let the gossipers whisper about my motives. Only one thing mattered: how my Ivy had really died. Luna proved tough to crack. Months passed before she drunkenly confessed to confirm she lived alone. I called pretending to be an old classmate asking about homework. Hired some reckless guys to sneak in with a propane tank and lighter. Boom! Whole place went up in flames. Murderous rage flooded me like molten lead. The idiot kept bragging. If I hadn't eliminated that insignificant side character, Jason, John, Ethan, they'd all be drooling over her again once she came home. Better to stay a dead first love anyway. I bit through my lip, resisting the urge to strangle her. Let the plan unfold. Waited until her wedding day. Let everyone assume I was fleeing the country heartbroken. Cornered Luna before the ceremony as lovesick men do. Last chance. Come see the rose-filled villa you always wanted. One look and I'll release you to marry him. Predictably, she agreed. Greedy to the last, nothing like Ivy. Every word of our exchange played on giant screens for the arriving guests. Jason became the joke of the century. When Luna started screaming inside the locked villa, I let the fire consume them both for hours. Exhausted, I carried Ivy's portrait to her grave and talked until sunrise. All variations of I miss you. Then I dreamed. Opened my eyes to grown-up Ivy smiling down. Tenderness in her voice as she whispered, "John." I tread carefully, afraid to wake up. Everything in this dream feels too perfect. But I want something better. I want to marry her. Right now. This instant. Immediately. I know she'll leave. That lingering tenderness in her eyes speaks of impending farewell. Yet I pretend not to notice. The terror of opening my eyes to her absence paralyzes me. I found John in the stairwell. Cigarette dangling from his lips with uncharacteristic dishevelment. The man who always carried himself like royalty now resembled fallen nobility. My sight echoed off concrete walls. John. He jerked upward, frozen until burning ash jolted him awake. Rising clumsily, he rasped, "You stayed?" My laughter fractured into tear-streaked silence. The ceremony's starting. Coming? Crimson rims bloomed around his storm-gray eyes as winter finally broke. End.